Watching right now at home. Hi, Giselle, you're home. And she was there as
well. And he says he's committed to working alongside Republicans, but can he find
SNAP as well too. Food insecurity is really important issue.
Senator John Fetterman was the first Democratic senator to visit Mar-a-Lago.
And some people on that side wants to go after that.
John Fetterman's recent appearance on The View has left the show's hosts in complete disarray after the Pennsylvania senator expertly dismantled their usual one-sided rhetoric. What started as a typical segment quickly spiraled into one of the most embarrassing moments in the show's history, with Sunny Hostin at the center of it all. The moment was so disastrous for The View that it has sparked behind-the-scenes panic at ABC, with executives scrambling to figure out how to salvage the show's credibility.
Watching right now at home. Hi, Giselle, if you're home. And she was there as well. Yeah, well, I think overall it was a positive experience.
It all began when The View's panel attempted to corner Fetterman over his willingness to work with Donald Trump and his appearance at Mar-a-Lago. Sunny Hostin led the charge, questioning why Fetterman, a Democrat, would be cozying up to Trump and appearing on conservative platforms like Truth Social. She clearly expected him to backpedal, apologize, or at least offer some kind of explanation that aligned with The View's typical anti-Trump narrative.
I mean, he was kind, he was cordial. It wasn't in any kind of theater.
But Fetterman did the exact opposite. Rather than getting defensive, he calmly explained that being an effective leader isn't about blind loyalty to one political ideology. It's about working with people regardless of party to get things done. He pointed out the absurdity of treating Trump like some kind of political boogeyman, noting that whether The View liked it or not, he remained a major political figure with a massive influence. Pretending otherwise, Fetterman argued, was not only dishonest but also counterproductive. Sunny, visibly frustrated that her usual tactics weren't working, tried to interrupt and steer the conversation back to her talking points. But Fetterman wasn't having it. He shut down her interruptions with direct, no-nonsense responses, calling out the hypocrisy of political analysts who demonize anyone that doesn't fully conform to their narrative. You don't have to like someone to be fair about reality, he told her, leaving the audience stunned. The reaction in the studio was immediate. The usual smug confidence on The View's panel began to crack as it became clear that Fetterman wasn't there to play their game. The audience, which The View typically relies on for their loud, one-sided cheering, was noticeably quiet. Even Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar, who often jump in to defend their co-hosts, hesitated. They had seen this happen before. Whenever a guest refuses to be bullied, the show quickly loses control of the conversation. Sunny, realizing she was losing the exchange, made one last desperate attempt to paint Fetterman as a traitor to the Democratic Party. She accused him of normalizing Trump and undermining progressive values. But by this point, Fetterman had completely dismantled her argument. He calmly reiterated that he was there to serve the people of Pennsylvania, not to play partisan games. He emphasized that politics should be about results, not emotional outrage, and that working with Trump or any Republican wasn't a betrayal. It was simply doing his job. Then came the moment that would define the entire segment. Flustered and out of counterpoints, Sunny Hostin stood up, grabbed her cue cards and stormed off the set. Gasps could be heard in the audience, followed by murmurs of disbelief. The View's producers quickly cut to commercial, but the damage was done. Within minutes, clips of the exchange were flooding social media.
Honestly, I haven't been surprised by anything now. I mean, he's been doing it.
Not a liberal or a conservative. I'm curious what your takeaway was from...
With people calling it one of the most humiliating moments in the show's history. The fallout was immediate and brutal. The View, which has built its reputation on controlling the narrative and shutting down opposing viewpoints, had just been exposed in the worst possible way. Sunny, who has spent years branding herself as an intellectual powerhouse, had been completely shut down and left speechless. The incident was so embarrassing that even some of The View's usual supporters struggled to defend it. Behind the scenes, the situation was even worse. ABC executives reportedly held emergency meetings to discuss the fallout, with insiders saying that they were furious at how badly the show had handled Fetterman's appearance. They had expected a standard interview where the hosts could push their usual anti-Trump narrative without resistance. Instead, they got a viral disaster that made their panel look unprepared and weak. Sunny Hostin, meanwhile, was reportedly livid. Sources claim that she ranted backstage about how Fetterman had been disrespectful and had made her look bad on national television. However, the reality was clear. She had walked into the confrontation expecting to dominate, but instead she had been utterly outmatched. Rather than admitting her mistake, she blamed everyone else, further frustrating the show's producers. Social media was merciless in its response. Viewers from across the political spectrum pointed out the glaring hypocrisy of The View's hosts, who frequently insult conservative guests but couldn't handle being challenged themselves. Many mocked Sunny for storming off the set, calling it proof that she and her co-hosts were incapable of engaging in real political discourse. Others praised Fetterman for standing his ground and refusing to be intimidated. One of the most striking aspects of this moment was how differently it would have been received if the roles were reversed. If a conservative guest had stormed off the set after being challenged, The View's hosts would have spent an entire week mocking them for being weak. But because it was Sunny who cracked under the pressure, her defenders scrambled to make excuses. Meanwhile, John Fetterman emerged from the controversy completely unscathed. In fact, sources say he found the entire situation hilarious. He reportedly told aides that he hadn't gone into the interview expecting to embarrass Sunny. He had just been answering her questions honestly. But when she couldn't handle his responses, she fell apart on her own. After the interview, Fetterman took to social media, making light of the situation with subtle jabs at The View's meltdown. ABC is now dealing with a serious problem. The View has already been struggling with declining ratings, and this latest controversy has only made things worse. While controversy can sometimes boost viewership, this incident was different. It didn't make the show look edgy or provocative, it made them look incompetent. Executives are now reportedly questioning whether changes need to be made to the panel, with Sunny Hostin being viewed as a potential liability. Inside sources say that there are whispers about a possible shakeup at The View, with network executives considering bringing in new voices to make the show seem less like a partisan echo chamber. The incident with Fetterman has made it painfully clear that The View's current format is no longer working, and unless something changes, the show's credibility will continue to erode. For now, The View remains in damage control mode, trying to downplay the incident and move on. But the internet never forgets, and this moment will likely haunt the show for a long time. Fetterman, on the other hand, has only gained more respect for his ability to handle pressure and push back against media narratives. The lesson from all of this is simple. If you're going to try to corner someone in an argument, you'd better be prepared for them to fight back. Sunny Hostin learned that the hard way, and The View is now paying the price. Whether this is the beginning of the end for the show remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. This was one of the most humiliating moments in The View's history, and it won't be forgotten anytime soon.